And we continue learning Kitzur Yomi, the halachis of Tzitzis Simin Tes. We pick it up from Sif Dalid. Says the Kitzur, here we go. 1 second. Here it is. Im bishas kshiras tzitzis. For the time the tzitzis were tied onto the beged. Hayanekev rachlik mikashir. The nekev, the hole, was far away from the end of the garment. And afterwards it rips a little bit. Then it's not possible. So it starts off kosher, and then it rips, and now it's too close. It's not possible. That it does not be beneath the corner. Ella b'shas. Now this is actually a fairly common case, that the corner of the tzitzis rips through the hole and now is hanging on the end. It's still kosher. Shenamar b'aslam tzitzis al kanvei b'deyim. Umikol makayim. It says the Kitzur, nevertheless, you should go binding around the hole. You should make it thick and strong. On the edge, to keep it at the requisite shear. We need to continue with Sif Hey. Says the Kitzur Nagan Lasses about tzitzis. It's the minhag to make the tzitzis chamishik sharim kefulim, 5 double knots, sheish b'dem arba chuliyos. Between them 4 links. You have 5 double knots. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4 in between the knots, and that's where the round strings are going to go. You take the 4 strings, you put them through the hole, and then you tie 2 knots. Then you wind with that which is called the Shabbos Sheva Krichos. The first one is 7. 2 knots. 8. 11. So 7, 8, 11, 13. Art School over here does a beautiful job as always, giving us an absolutely incredible picture. Let's just look at this for a moment. See, you have the 2 knots. You're 7, 8, 2 knots, 8, 2 knots, 11, 2 knots, 13. And just one more detail over here that we're about to see inside, which are the whole wound, the knotted portion is 1/3 the length of the entire length of the tzitzis, which we'll see in a moment. Continues the Kitzur. Miyaz kinoi tzitzisu. You want it to be beautiful, that you want the links all to be equal, meaning 7, 8, 11, 13. So you would think that the 13 is going to be longer than the 7. Says the Kitzur, Lachein, B'chol Yari Shaina, on the first time, Yarchiku Zeu Mizu, you want to distance a little bit, you want to make it a loose 7. B'chol Yashni Akriv Miksasi, a little tighter. So therefore, it comes out that it ends up being all the same amount, even though they are different amounts. Let's just look at this together. If you take your tzitzis, and now you try to, you measure the top and the bottom, it should be the same approximate distance between them, even though the 13, of course, is a bit longer than the 7. But you see over here, if you could see, that the 7 is going to be a little bit looser. Shir kalerach tzitzis, the measurement of the length of the tzitzis, tainu menakesha arisha and aksasa chuta to the end. So you want at least 12 thumb lengths from the beginning knots all the way until the end. Vanoyu, what's beautiful? That all the knotted areas is 1/3. 2/3. Let's remember, he just said that's inoi. It's not going to be the ikuva. The ikuva has to be at least 12, thumb lengths long. And Art School over here, note 40, tells us between 9.6 and 11.4 inches. Therefore, each wrapping around should be approximately the length of 1 thumb length. So all of them together is 4, which is going to be 1/3 of 12. So you have 4 and then 8. If it's longer, then you want the wounding part to be a little bit longer. Says the Kitzur. It's toiv, it's good to keep the 4 on each side together. As we're going to see at the end of today's Sifya Gimel, how, excuse me, as we're going to see tomorrow in Sif Gimel, how that's going to be advantageous. And the way to do that is that when you're making your tzitzis, you split the 4 on the floor, and you take 4, make a slip knot in them, so that's going to keep these 4 always separate than these 4, and then as you're making them, will always be the same 4 and 4. Says the Kitzur Sivav, if you did not cut the strings one from another, one very, very long string, and fold it over 4 times. Then you put it into the garment that way. And you make the tzitzis, and then you cut it. Possul misham gedilam tas lechav darshinan tas evlom, and also it has to be kosher when you make it. Pirush. You can't make them with the Possul and then make it kosher. And the Zehu Possul. Over here, Art School makes us a beautiful picture. You see over here how it's all one very long string, as you can see from the end of it, how it's all one very long string, and this would be possible because of Taseh V'loi Minha Asli. Continues the Kitzur V'chein, and similarly, if the Tzitzis are made properly, I'll beg it acher on one garment. And again, this also happens, and the garment rips. And you want to put the tzitzis on another beged. Or if you beged, you even want to continue it on that garment, and it falls off. Then you want to sew back up. Zegam kain Possul. So if the tzitzis falls off, you have to remake them. And similarly, in kosher as tzitzis. If you tie the tzitzis onto the garment, when it was pot, you go into let's say the side of it was all sewn up. And afterwards you undo it. If the tzitzis are left that way, Ella. So you have to untie the tzitzis and retie them meaning, can you reuse tzitzis? Yes, but not the way they are. You have to untie them and retie them. For you put on your towels, you check the tzitzis and make sheiros. So literally comes the you also have to check the strings where they go into the garment and the wrappings around. You also want to separate the strings from each other. You don't want them to be all stuck together. But if you're late, if you try to check them, you spot them, see we're going to miss davening, then you do not have to check them. And 051 tells you from the Mishnah Brura that it's only if you check them the day before, because then you know that you have a chazaka, but if not, you have to check them. Sif ches kol ha-mitzvahis mevarach aleim oiver la'asiyas pirush kodem ha'asiyah ula'achar ha-beracha, and right after you make the bracha, take of miyad right away. So last the mitzvah b'li'af, you do the mitzvah right away. Therefore, oiches tells b'shtei yad, if you tells you two hands, you have, and you have in mind shetzivana kadosh baruch l'satei v'tzitzis. You remember all the commandments. Shenemar, then if you varich move on the sati batzitzis, and then you wrap yourself right away to put the tzitzis over yourself, that the front edge goes down to your mouth. And afterward, you bring the corner back up to your neck. We'll put a link to a shiur in which we did a demonstration in the footnotes over here. And you put them over your shoulder. You wait for Amos. You say the psukim in Tehillim that's in the siddur, which over here we could pull up. And some people stop there, and then some people continue. Those 4 psukim you say while you wait those few moments, then you can remove it from on your head. In note 55, it points out this is what we're talking about for talis gadol. When you put on talis gadol, you make the bracha of al mitzvah tzitzis, then You do not have to say it again, says the Mishnah Berurah. V'nachli Zoyer. Shloi ligrar is a tzitzis al aretz. The tzitzis should not drag on the ground. Misham bizoi mitzvah. It's degrading to the mitzvah. L'chein yagbiyam v'yachal l'tachvan tachagur. You're allowed to tuck them into your belt to keep them off the ground. We'll also just mention that when you're misatev yourself, Mishmur speaks out, you want to be misatev your guf, your body. You don't want to do the whole scarf move, wrapping it over your head, because then it's not wrapping your body. Sif Tess says the Kitzur in Beracha al Tzitzis will be a million go bracha by day. V'lei b'laylo lechatchila. Yizar shel Beracha lematche kol kach yayim sheyakim b'tchilas liyavan, which is the zman that we call mishayakir. That's when you make the bracha on Tzitzis. V'mlavish as the talis katan b'ilay. Let's say you put on your talis katan at night. V'lei b'yirach alav v'yishlav you put on b'yishlayo yadim in kiyas for your hands were clean. V'chein lo yivarach alav as I then kshevarach al talis gadol yechavein b'bracha zu gamkein al talis katan. So that's only if you weren't able to make a bracha on it. Another scenario we'll point out is if you're getting dressed and going straight to shul. Also says the Mishnah Berurah, you should not make a bracha on your talis katan and then right away make a bracha on your talis gadol, but rather you make the bracha on talis gadol. You have a mind for your talis katan. So if you didn't make a bracha, which could happen, let's say you put them on right away before your hands were clean, then whenever you're able to, you make the bracha. At night your hands are not clean. You hold the tzitzis. This is where many people, we're little kids. The Mora goes and says, everyone hold their tzitzis, you make a bracha on them. But we're learning over here that if when you put on your tzitzis, your hands are clean, then of course, what should you do? Hold the tzitzis, make the bracha, and then put them on. There's no reason to put them on, and then afterwards, you're losing over lasiyasan. So the Kitzur is teaching us there's two cases that you might be forced to lose over lasiyasan. If you put in your tzitzis in the middle of the night, or if you put them on when your hands are not clean. However,